was born in 1976, the year of the youth uprising. So I was born during apartheid, and I'm acutely aware of what the apartheid system was trying to do, trying to erase our languages, erase our cultures, erase our history, And so when I started having the opportunity to hold a microphone, there were things that mattered to me, like my language, my culture, anything that was trying to be erased, my sense of beauty, like I used to watch the TV and there was this ad where, a very, very beautiful white woman would be walking through the advert with billowing hair in the wind, and then she would turn around and she would say, because I'm worth it. And that advert used to stress me out because I was like, I want to see a black woman turn around and say, because I'm worth it. So um, this was in a time when representation really, really mattered. It still matters to this day. And so for me, those were political choices. Choices to try and subvert what the apartheid system was trying to do. So our languages are important, our culture is important, our history is important, but so is social coercion, coercion. What's the word? Cohesion. Thank you. That's the word. That's also important. Community is important. Oneness is important. So as much as we can be proud of who we are, we also have to think of ourselves as members of a greater humanity. As an artist, for me, that is the thing that's at the center of everything, is how can my music heal and foster love. So you know what, I grew up in Soweto. I'm a Soweto kid, and I have a Soweto cadence about me. I have a Soweto vibe about me, But my mother grew up in the Eastern Cape, and my mother died when I was 16 years old. And my mother was so obsessed with home, with this idea of going back to the Eastern Cape. And so I became obsessed with this idea of going back home to the Eastern Cape. The Eastern Cape, our villages in general, wherever people are in the villages, are such forgotten spaces. People really care a lot about these urban spaces, but there's so much genius, so much ingenuity, so much history, so much indigenous knowledge systems that exists in villages that I think South Africa is it's destroying itself by not understanding and uplifting these communities. There's so much talent in all of these communities. So I believe that there should be more festivals, there should be more engagement that happens in rural communities, so that people don't have to now figure out about how do I leave my village to get to Port St. George, to get to a taxi from Port St. George to Mthatha, to get all the way here. So that's how I feel just about the fact that there are so many communities that are ignored, and that have become invisible to the system, A lot of the things that are happening in this country right now are because people feel invisible to the system. They feel like they don't exist unless they do something completely, radically outside of anything that anyone understands, So I do think that rural communities, ghetto kids, that's where we should put our attention, because that's where the genius is,
Thank you. Now, as a global icon, when I say that, I just immediately think of that photograph of Tatu Nelson Mandela, Michael Jackson, and yourself.
Yes.
That was an epic shot.
That's definitely one of the more iconic pictures I've taken.
So, and now having been on that platform, I won't mention it, the online platform,
yes,
where you have lots of books behind you,
yes,
and you.
Why don't you want to mention Tiny Desk? It's fine.
Okay, all right. So you were on also Tiny Desk. I thought that was also epic.
Thank you.
What is next for you now as a global icon in South Africa?
You know what? I just turned 50 this year. And I'm one of those people that never thought I would ever grow up. And now the number is implying that I may have grown up by now. Like, the number 50 is implying to me that I might be old now. So I never really thought about what does legacy mean to me, and I've begun to think about that now. Like, what would you leave behind? Is it an idea, like ego? An idea? Is it a place? Is it a building? And I'm really thinking a lot about that. I still haven't figured out what that is. Like I said, it's taken me quite a long time to catch up to the idea that I might need to mature. I feel like anybody who was born in 1976 didn't really grow up much. And anybody who was a Kwaito kid, I was a Kwaito kid who made Kwaito, we didn't grow up. Mosquito never grew up, we never grew up. And some of my dearest friends, people like Huma Sikela and Busukama, they never grew up. In many ways, I don't know if it works for an artist to think about legacy, because legacy is such a formal thing, and being an artist is the antithesis of that. So I think about all of that. I think about what rules can I break? Are there any major rules I can break now that I'm 50? Are there still rules to break? I don't know, but I know that being an artist means I need to be subversive. I need to break some rules. I need to find cracks in order to create newness in the world, and the kind of newness that changes the world for the better. So I'm still searching.
Nice.
Still searching.
So the young Thandiswa, when she was coming up, being embraced by the likes of Brahu Masekela, Busi Mhlongo, Miriam Makeba, how did that make you feel? Like, did you see it as an opportunity, or did you feel I belong because I'm talented?
You're asking me what young people...
In that space where you were afforded by the great Brahu, Busi Mhlongo, you came into the space and you gelled into the space and you created a lot of work in that space. So I'm asking because if a young person gets the opportunity to be in the space with the likes of you, what energies should they carry, and what temperament? As a Soweto girl, you spoke about temperament. What temperament should they have?
I think it depends where you come from. Like I said, I came from Soweto, and so coming from Soweto, I already felt that Soweto is the world. I thought Soweto was New York. I thought Soweto was Paris, London, New York all put together. Like, there was no world better than Soweto. So I got into rooms with very seriously famous people, and in many ways I felt like I belonged there. I didn't wonder about why. In fact, I would fight to be in those rooms. I remember a story, I think it was 1997, somewhere there. One of the first 46664 gigs. And Utatu Mandela had invited everybody, including like young Beyonce and Bono from U2 and Oprah, and it was massive, And one night they had a dinner, and Bongo Muffin was one of the South African acts that were, gonna be part of the festival or the gig that was happening that day. So that night they had a dinner, and we went to the dinner. And when we got to the dinner, they said, "Oh, no, sorry, it's just for the international artists." And I was in my 20s at the time, and I went crazy. I said, "What?" I said, "I'm from this country. This is," I just basically demanded to be inside, And it was a very, very prestigious event, honestly. And I was a kid. I really probably shouldn't have thought that I belonged there, but I did. I just, did a whole riot outside about how I wanted to be in there. And then ultimately, after about 30 minutes, they said, "Okay, fine, you can come in." And I said, "I don't want to anymore." And I left. So I think that when you are a human being, born naked into this earth, like every other human being, you should know and sense that you belong. And that no one has a right to tell you you belong where you know you belong. You know? So I think that's important. I think young people should know that they belong in all these spaces, you know, and that the older generation actually needs their ideas. Young people can also learn from the older people. I know they don't want to listen today. It's kind of like a two-way thing, you know. We need your ideas, you need our wisdom, so that you don't repeat what we know hasn't worked.
Actually, that was going to be my next question because you spoke about how important are other people to get to where you are. Are you a self-made woman?
Very important. No one in the world is an island. No one is made by themselves and their own talents. Yes, you have your talents and you have your own sense of where you're going, and that's very important. But it's about who you give your love to in the world, you know. And I'm only here because, you know, Oskido took me somewhere. I'm here because, you know, Brahu took me around the world and showed me around to people, you know, introduced me to Paul Simon. I'm here because Mamira Makeba cared to listen to our version of Pata Pata and cared to sit down with me. Yeah, you have to have the humility to listen and to know that you are in community with others. This world is made by that. You are in community with others.
Thank you very much and all the best for the show. You can squeeze a hug.
Yes, yes. Ah,